Welcome, 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 everybody, to the monthly summit of the Associations of Influencers and Thought Leaders. You got a sneak peek of the goods right there. D. Scott Smith. He's going to be our keynote speaker. Just want to ask you real quick, if you have not filled out the form, the feedback form for the event, Jeremy just put it in the chat. If you would be so kind as just click on that little link, take the 1 minute that it's going to take you to fill out that form. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated, because you are going to see why. Big surprise. Jeremy's going to show you a little something about it. Again, I want to welcome you to the Association of Influencers and Thought Leaders, the AIT, started by Jeremy Siegel, who I will be bringing up shortly. I'm getting some likes and stuff like that in the chat. This is cool. All right. I'd love to, in the chat, I know that we've all been networking, but go ahead, put in your name, put in where you're from, right? I literally just found out that Elizabeth was from Jacksonville. I had no idea. So I'm definitely looking forward to grabbing some lunch with you, Elizabeth, and connecting. But put in where you're from, see, so that everybody knows who you are and what you're up to here. I want to, as you're filling out this form, just if you're new, if you're one of the many legions of Scott's fans that are joining us today to listen to his extraordinary "Our Best Referrals Come from Business Relationships" conversation, I just want to say welcome to this community. This is a special community because everybody here has a voice, right? It's akin to going to a podcasting conference or something where people have platforms, right? Like everybody that joins this group really has something to say, and they really are out there in service, helping humanity with some kind of lesson that they've learned that they want to make the world a better place. So if you haven't taken a look at joining the AIT, being part of some of these meetings, I highly, highly recommend that you do. Check it out at theait.org. All right, we got people checking in. We got Sam in San Diego. We got Elizabeth in Jacksonville, Jeremy in Atlanta, who we're going to hear from. Scott's from Corvallis, Oregon. That sounds beautiful. And Michael from Phoenix. Good to see you, Michael. But anyways, just want to Andrew from Narnia. Sounds like a magical place. And I just want to encourage you to take a look at the AIT and see what it can do for you. I'm going to bring up now the founder of the AIT. I got a little story about what it's done for me in my life, but just to let you know, Jeremy has really put this platform together in a way to give other people a platform. Like he named it the Association of Influencers and Thought Leaders tactically, because as a member, this gives you credibility that you're a part of it. As a speaker, it gives you credibility that you're a part of it. Andrew and I were just chatting backstage, and I have this like huge speaking opportunity coming up at the end of August for this company putting on this summit, the CMX Summit. And it's like the summit about community, by the platform, by communities. And I got invited to speak at it, and then they immediately promoted it. And I'm like, VP of Marketing and Community for Salesforce, VP of Marketing Community for HubSpot, and Pablo. And it's really an incredible opportunity to speak at it. And it came from being a part of the AIT. Because Jeremy afforded me his stage a couple of months ago, and I was able to speak, as I was like networking through a couple different things, I met somebody that I really wanted to strike up a connection with, and she was the events manager for this platform. And I had the opportunity when I met her to be like, oh man, I really love to get together with you. Oh, by the way, I'm speaking at this thing if you want to come, right? So like inviting someone to this event is like a great move of just like, this is what I'm up to. I'm hanging out with this influencers and thought leaders, right? Like it provides you an opportunity to level up your network by you get to then speak at it. And because I invited this lady to speak at it, she invited me to speak at her summit, right? So like I attribute it directly to the fact that I was speaking at an event for the AIT, the fact that the AIT has this like super legit brand that is full of great people. So I knew that if she showed up, she'd be impressed. And it's just been awesome. So I want to encourage you to learn more about the AIT. And without further ado, I'm going to bring up Jeremy Siegel, who's the founder, who's going to tell you a little bit about why he started it and the whole model that he's created around this. Jeremy, take it away, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the great intro, Pablo. And it's great to see so many people sharing where they're from and what's going on and where they're at. It's awesome to see some amazing people here showing up today. I'm just going to do a very brief run through about what AIT is. It's going to be very short, and then I'll go through the survey. So if you have that, the Google form, at the top of the chat. If you scroll up the chat, we'll be sharing the results of that, because that's the feedback Scott wants for sort of getting a feel for the room here. So let me share my screen here. Give me 1 second. All right, so real briefly, again, the AIT.org is the website. It's the Association of Influencers and Thought Leaders, and really the simple formula behind the community is influence is growing a following, and then thought leadership is sharing a point of view. So if you combine the following with your unique point of view, then you can make a bigger impact. And that doesn't have to be necessarily you specifically. Like if I had Pablo on my podcast, then I would be bringing Pablo's thought leadership onto my platform of influence, and that together would make a bigger impact. So that's just the premise here. We have the competency model that is at the core of everything we do. It has 4 components: the influencer component, thought leader, business owner, and thriving individual. And each of those components have subcomponents for competencies. For example, influencer, creating short form content, mastering social media platforms, managing community. I definitely encourage you to go to our website, AIT.org, and under the About is the competency model, and it's got some great information in here worth checking out. We also have all the recordings of the events in our internal community. So Pablo spoke a couple months back, and his recording is in here, so you can click in and see the recording and learn about what he spoke about, and even leave comments out at the bottom. So this is the online learning community that we have here. You can have discussions. We have to do community AMA, share your work, things like that. So that's what AIT is. I'm not going to go too deep into that. So let's see where we're at with the survey. We've got 7 responses. Yeah, it's a little bit long to jump in there last minute to get these in here, but let's see where we're at. And feel free to jump in here, Pablo, if you like. How full is your business capacity? And we have majority of people saying it's, I guess I don't see the no room for clients. So most people are actually on the higher end of that one. What percentage of your clients are from referrals or word of mouth? Looks like about right in the middle there is where we're sitting. How well do you leverage your network to get referrals? Seems like a good mix of low and high. Do you believe that your network is full of more clients than you can serve? And that is sort of spread evenly throughout as well. And are you interested in a simple system that defines your network and provides actionable structure? So that looks like most people want that. So yeah, that's the pre-survey here. I'll stop sharing my screen, and that's a little bit about AIT.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. And without further ado, I want to bring up the star of the hour, Scott. I think you gotta raise your hand for me to bring you up on stage. So if you can do that, that would be great. Otherwise, I have no idea how to handle this technology. That is not why I'm here. I'm here to entertain. So if you've been here, there you go. Here he is. If you've been here before, you know D. Scott Smith. If you're ever on the internet, you likely know D. Scott Smith, right? He's all over the place. If you're in local events, you probably know D. Scott Smith because he's an expert networker. And I know that when he came across my periphery, what drew me to him was this hook point of motivational listener. I was immediately fascinated by everything he had to say from there on out, because it just showed number one, an alignment with something that I consider incredibly important, a unique positioning that I had never heard before. And then from there on out, every time he talks, I consider myself smarter, man. So you're here to talk about the most important topic, which is business relationships. Take it away, buddy. Can't wait.
I appreciate that, Pablo. Thank you so much. And, your talk is we were talking a little bit beforehand, and I was saying that of all the talks that I've heard this year, live and virtual, Pablo's here at AIT, definitely the number one. He had a great structure. It was actionable. And those are the things that we have at AIT. So I'm going to put out the little commercial right now and say AIT is a fabulous place. Thank you to everybody that is a part of this community, because that's what makes it wonderful. And so with that, I will share my screen here. And then I just want to get right into this whole topic of relationships, growing your business, because our best customers come through referrals from our network. And it depends on your business, really. And this is one of the things why I asked the question about your capacity. Where are you at capacity? Because if you're out there at all on the internet, then you're being tagged and everything is being delivered to you that says how to get customers and how to have these huge sales months and huge annual sales. It's do this and make money. And there's just a number of things. And there's for some businesses, you can, if it scales, like if you're selling an online course, you're just pushing electrons around. So you can do an unlimited number. But if it involves your time at all, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, you have a finite capacity. And so you don't need to do big advertising. You couldn't handle hundreds or thousands of clients. Maybe you just need a few clients every month, and that'll fill your dance card, as they say. So using your network is absolutely the best way. So grateful to be a part of AIT and here tonight. And Jeremy, thank you again for your leadership here in creating this and giving us this spot to be able to share with each other. And often, and I'm going to talk fast, and I do have a stopwatch going so I can watch the time here, but so I'm going to talk fast. Often when I give talks, the very last phrase that I end with was really something that was inspired by my mother. And because I don't want to forget it, I am going to actually say it right here at the very beginning, that it's not about making money. It's about living a life that makes a difference. And your professional network, your relationships are a great way to have a life that makes a difference. And that's what I'm surrounded with here at AIT. So motivational listener, Pablo, thank you for that. I always give credit to my wife for this. One day somebody asked her and said, what do you do? And she's kind of thought, and she said, well, I'm a motivational listener. And I said, Christine, I love that. I will always give you credit, which I'm doing now because I'm a very good husband. I said, I'm going to give you credit, but I'm stealing that. And so that happened a few years ago. I used that, and then I put a framework around it. And it eventually led to the publication Motivational Listener, Be Interesting by Being Interested. And it's all about business networking. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get toward the end here. But anyway, she took that phrase and created it. So I leveraged that from my wife, as they say, as an undergraduate student. They call it plagiarism. As a graduate student, it's research. In a business, we call it leverage. So I leverage that. So what does it mean to be a motivational listener? Well, if, say, Pablo and I were having a conversation, my goal as the motivational listener is for Pablo to leave that conversation feeling better about himself than when we started. And when we get into the actual process, when you're at a networking event, and this works for virtual as well as in-person events, and we're kind of in this in-between netherworld where it's like sometimes we can go to live events and maybe we can't. I don't know where we're at, but it works either way. Well, as a motivational listener, and you go through the process, your goal is for that person that you're speaking to understand how remarkable they are. And so we'll talk about that. So that's the goal of being a motivational listener. And as I told Pablo again before we started this, I am the world's foremost authority on being a motivational listener because I'm the only one. And I know that because I often get these automated solicitations through LinkedIn. And because I go by my middle name, but I have my first initial, I can tell when it says, hello, D period, D period, comma. I'm always interested in adding more motivational listeners to my network. And I'm like, really? How many do you have? So anyway, it's a good thing to have. And so what am I involved in? Well, there's a number of things that I'm doing out there right now. So we have the experience live with Russ and Scott with Russ Hedge. So we do that every Wednesday. We just had the last of season 1 yesterday, and we'll be coming back in the middle of September. So we're taking our little summer hiatus. And we're on the same with the Business Builder Throwdown, which I do on Thursdays with Holly Jean Jackson and Matt Rouse. And that is, just think of it as marketing education that's not boring. It's kind of a WWE type thing. It's a lot of fun, and I get to moderate that. And then like Barry's here in the group, and I am an Amazon influencer thanks to Jim Fuse and Chris Stone. I've been accepted into that program. And so that means that I can broadcast live video right into Amazon. And a lot of people say, oh, what is that? Well, we can talk about that another time, but I'm doing author interviews. And so Barry is here in the room with us. And we did an interview about him and his book, and it's a great way to promote. So I throw this out as an offer. Anyone that has something to sell on Amazon, let me know, especially if it's a book. I'd love to do the author interviews. So the other thing is I co-host the Global Virtual Tea Break with Alan Hennessy. He's over in Dublin. We started that in February of 2020, a month before the world changed. And then it turned out in March, we needed it more than ever. And that is another fabulous community. We meet the third Friday of every month. So for August, it's coming up on the 20th. So we have that. And then we've also got webinars there as well. And so that is a fabulous community. And as we like to say, one cup of tea can change the world. Now, your professional network, everyone needs to have some sort of competitive edge, something that gives them an unfair advantage. And to me, it's your professional network. And the good news is you don't have to go out and build a network. You already have a fabulous network filled with remarkable people who want you to succeed. They just need to know what problem you solve, what your offer is, and who the ideal customer is. So you have a fabulous network. You just need to lean into that network and let those folks help you. So you don't have to build it. You have it, but you just need to understand what its components are and how best to use them. So with that, I'm just checking comments to make sure. All right, good. And why have a professional network? Well, first of all, our best referrals actually come from, or our best customers come from referrals from people within our network. Again, these are people who love you. They want you to do good. They send you people that you can help. You solve their problems. And then it turns out 85% of jobs, and it may be higher, somewhere around that number, but at least 85% of jobs never even get posted. They just go to someone within the network. So anyone that is looking for a job or knows somebody that's looking for a job, make sure they're using their network and help them to use their network, because that's how people find jobs. So using a professional network is hugely important if you have projects. And in today's world, with all the technology we have, we don't need to be in the same physical space anymore to work together. And you can call in talent. You can call in the best talent to help you. You can build virtual teams, virtual companies to solve problems. And you do that through your network. Now, one of the things is people say, well, I'm an introvert. I'm not very good at networking, or I'm an extrovert, so I'm really good at networking. And it is really independent. It doesn't matter. Being good at networking it does not require being an extrovert, and it's not limited by being an introvert. In fact, it is really irrelevant as to whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Now, if you Google business networking techniques, things to do to be a good networker, and not to dump on the authors, because they're good folks and they do good work, but oftentimes they're given an assignment, they do some research, they get paid by the word. So one of these articles that I remember finding one time, and I shared this into the Networking Tips Facebook group that I run, it said, The first line, the very first opening sentence said, extroverts are natural networkers. And that is absolutely not true. Just because you like to be in groups of people, that's where you get energy. You like to be with a lot of people. You like the hubbub. You like all that. That's how you get energy. That's what feeds you. Whereas the introverts, they get energy by being alone, by being maybe in small groups or with one person. And that's where they get energy. It doesn't mean that they're not good at networking. In fact, extroverts sometimes get in their own way because it's talk, and they never really connect with the other person. The introvert, on the other hand, doesn't say anything, and so still no one knows who they are. So it is independent. Networking does not require you to be an extrovert. It is not limited by being an introvert. All right. So some of the cool things that happen when you leverage your network are things like this. I got to hang out with Brian Fanzo for a week over in Dublin. And then here we are in San Diego at Social Media Marketing World. And networking is really important. You go to an event like that, there's 5,000 people in there. You walk into that room and you think, man, they all seem to know each other. What am I going to do? If you have a plan, you can go into that room with 5,000 people and have a fabulous, profitable time. I got to go into the local radiation center. They've actually got a nuclear reactor there. We got the equivalent of $300,000 worth of work done for free in that radiation center, all because of our network. And right below that is a Komodo dragon. I was up at the Woodland Park Zoo in Seattle, Washington. And I got to actually be not in the, well, it was in the same airspace as the Komodo dragon. They're very dangerous, so I wouldn't actually go in there as they were feeding them. But when they took them out, I actually got to go inside the cage in the habitat where the Komodo dragon is. Absolutely a cool experience. Got to have a few words with Guy Kawasaki and even got photobombed by the life-size bobblehead of Stan Lee at the Toy Fair last February. That was the last big event I went to before the world changed. So now here's the thing. I told you I'm talking fast, so take notes if you can, but I know these presentations are all available. So you are a business, and there are 3 things that you have to have for a business. And it's not a website, it's not business cards, it's not a name, it's not a tagline, it's not an elevator speech. There are 3 things that you have to have for a business, and all of them have to be present. You got to have a problem, a solution, and someone willing to pay for it. So when you have those things, you have a business. Now, you may be an entrepreneur, you may be a solo entrepreneur or a small business owner, you may be an employee getting a W-2 from a company, but you are still a business because they are your customer. They have a problem, and you as an employee solve that problem. So when you solve that problem and they pay you, you have a business. So I want you always to remember that. Think of yourself as a business. Now, there are the 4 P's of marketing, and I've corrupted this a little bit, but it fits me. It fits what I want, and so I feel fully justified in doing that. People, product, price, and promotion. The people is actually probably place. If you were to go to a old school textbook, Business 101, Marketing 101 of the 4 P's of marketing. But I think people are much more important than the place. Place is just the channel that you deliver, and the people actually are part of that. How do they buy? So I'll tell you what, it is a troubled world out there. Those people have problems, and they are looking for solutions, right? And the solution is the product that you offer, whatever that solution is. They need it. Now, the price is what they're willing to pay to get rid of the pain. And so whatever the solution is you have, if the price of that solution is less than the cost of them keeping the pain, then you're probably going to make a sale. So this is the way to think about that. Then there's promotion. Promotion, we can think of this as, and there's a lot of different components to it, but let's just go right to the advertising side of it, the marketing side of it. There's traditional marketing and advertising, radio, television, print, billboards, placards on the sides of buses, and cards on grocery carts, all the traditional marketing and advertising. And then there's digital advertising. So Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. There's a lot of ways to advertise digitally. And there's the one that is forgotten the most, and that is business networking. Now, the problem is that when we go to traditional advertising, traditional marketing, digital marketing, man, there's all kinds of funnels and customer journeys and systems to get people in and move them through from just awareness to closing them for the sale. Everyone's got a system and a process out there. And so it seems really easy. Let's just do that. And so you'll see, and I told you that you're getting all these advertisements that says, look, speak on stages and make money. Be an influencer on TikTok and make money. Do Google or Facebook or Snapchat ads and make money. All comes down to that business: problem, solution, customer. So here's the deal. Everything that we're saying is have a solution to someone's problem, let the right people know about it who are potential customers, and make money. So stages, great. Advertising, great. But I'm saying the best way, the most effective, most efficient way to market your business, the offering, the solutions that you have, is through your business network. All right. So that's why I created the professional network system, because there was no format. There was no funnel. There was no process. We're all told in college or when you're getting into the workforce, networking is going to be really important for you. You need to network. And it's like, great, but what do I actually do? So I've got a 4-phase system. I mean, you can go through it. Now, we look at defining the value that you have to offer. Then we really analyze the network structure. And this is the area that we're going to spend the most time on today. I really want you to understand your network structure. Then you refine your presence and you nurture and grow your network. So we're really only going to focus in on phase 2 right here. All right. So what is a network? Well, communities like AIT are built around a common interest or shared hardship. Now, with the pandemic, the entire world, for the first time in history, shared this, and we had the communication ability to share this burden of the pandemic. So we were able to come together as a community, solve a lot of problems, but also shared interests. So I was told, Scott, you need to learn how to play golf because a lot of businesses transacted on the golf course. Well, there is nothing magical about the golf course. There's nothing magical about being out there. All it is people with a shared interest spending time together and building relationships. That's what a network is. A network is people having a relationship with each other. That's why it says relationships grow your business. So you spend time with people, and then it's natural as you get to know each other to do business, to share business opportunities. So that's what networking is. It's not about golf. It's just about building those relationships. Now, we're getting into the structure, and this is where you're going to hear something that's a little bit different because this doesn't exist anywhere except for what I'm giving. This is not, you're not going to find this in a Zig Ziglar book. You're not going to find it in Dale Carnegie. It's here in AIT. So we have 2 major networks. We have our extended network, which is, if you look at LinkedIn, and I think last year, well, let's see, gosh, so I gave this similar presentation to PodFest in February. And at that time, I had 2,300 connections on my LinkedIn profile. Now I know it's over 2,600. So I've had like more than 300 people these last few months come into my network. Well, that's my extended network. I guarantee you, I do not know 2,600 people, but I've connected to them. We connected on LinkedIn. Maybe we work together. Maybe I really know them well, but we've done projects together. But sometimes it's people that you were at a conference, you had lunch together. It's like, oh, let me get on your LinkedIn. And you get on LinkedIn and you connect with each other and you never think about them again. You never see them again. But that is your extended network. So from your extended network, we extract the active network. And in this case, we follow Robin Dunbar's rule that says we can manage about 100 to 150 relationships. And so what we do is we look at that extended network, and you go through every single person in there and you say, would I do business with this person? And if so, then they move into your active network. If they don't, they stay in your extended network. And I actually have an exercise. And what you do is you download your LinkedIn contacts, and it goes into a spreadsheet. And then you just go through and you eliminate all the people that you don't know, all the people that you would never do business with or would never send a referral your way. And you're not eliminating them from your LinkedIn profile. You're not eliminating them from your extended network, because that's where they flow from into your active network. But then once you've gone through that exercise, and I've done it several times for myself, I've done it with other people, and every time that I've gone through this with people and they're honest about would they do business with this person, would they send referrals to them, or would that person ever send a referral to them? If you are honest about that, every time that we've gone through this, it comes down to between 100 and 150 people. It's amazing. Robin Dunbar, he's a anthropologist in Britain. So he's done his research. It works. I'm not picking that number because he said it. I'm using that number because it agrees with the research that he did. So you have your extended network and you have your active network. Now, you think 100 to 150 people, is that actually worth it? Is there enough people? Can I get enough business to survive on, to get enough customers to fill up my capacity and be able to meet my business plan? And as I said, take care of my family. So we have 150 people who have direct experience of working with you. They know what you are. They know who you are. This is the 150 people in your active network. Now, the good news is they all know 150 people in their active networks as well. So a lot of times we say marketing is just math. It's not creative graphics. It's not movies. It's not the colors. It's not the branding, all that stuff. Marketing is just math. 150 times 150, that's 22,500 people who will hear firsthand experience of what it's like to work with you. So that's a big number. That's plenty of people to pull from. But the good news is that they also have active networks of 150 people. That's 3,375,000 people who can hear credible experience of what it's like to work with you. Now, if you were to go out and try to advertise, use Google advertising or Facebook advertising to just get your message in front of that people. Let's say you've got some video or something that just absolutely nails who you are and gives you full credibility, similar to the credible experience that the 3 million people are going to have. You would have to pay somewhere between $60,000 and $100,000 to reach that many people. You have that today in your network. In your network, you've got a reach of over 3 million people who can get credible experience of working with you. I told you, you already have a fabulous network. So you're 150 people, absolutely enough to work with. All right. So here's the deal. You have a fabulous network. They want you to succeed. They just need to know what problem you solve, what's your solution, and who your ideal customer is. But not every person in the 150 is going to be sending referrals your way. There are 5 distinct roles in your network. So first of all, we have mentors and advisors. So who is it that you turn to for advice when you want to make a decision, when you need help with something, whether it's business, a personal, relational, spiritual, what is it that you need? There's something that you need help with. You turn to an advisor for that. So these are people that are definitely in your active network. These are people that you turn to for advice. So the first role is mentors and advisors. Then we've got mentees. Now, we should all be giving back. We should be going to the next generation or someone coming up in an area that you have expertise, and you need to share that and pass that on because your wisdom is absolutely valuable. So you need to have that put out. I'm going to check the comments here. Let me roll these down. All right. So here's the thing. The benefit to you, there's a direct benefit, not just because it's the right thing to do, which it is, and it makes you feel good, which is wonderful, but the teacher always learns more than the student. So when you have to take that information, this knowledge that you have locked up inside your brain and formulated into a message that you're going to transmit and give to that other person, it causes you to format it in such a way that you understand it better. So the teacher always learns more than the student. So that's the second role. We've got mentors and advisors, we've got mentees, and the next role in our group, in our active network, is customers. Customers are absolutely part of your active network. They're a great source of repeat business, and because they know who you are, there's a possibility that they can also send referrals your way. So customers, absolutely a part of your active network. So the next component of your group is partners. Now, partners are people who solve problems that you don't solve, but allow you to add value into your network. And so I actually, earlier today, I got a message on Twitter that came in and said, and was asking for some help with a particular project and if I knew anybody. So I was able to make a connection from somebody that I know to somebody that I know, and I'm just the joiner. I'm the connector in that. And that allowed me to add value to my network. So when we're talking about partners, again, these are people who solve problems that I don't solve, that you don't solve, but allow you to add value into your network. I call it the Who's Your Plumber. So let's just say Pablo had his kitchen rebuilt, and I live in his neighborhood, and God, the faucet's leaking in my kitchen. I would go to Pablo and I say, "Hey, who was the plumber? Were you happy with the work that they did?" And he could then say, "Yeah, here's the plumbing company that I use. They did good. I'm really happy with them." And so he becomes what's in our next area is an advocate. He becomes an advocate for that business. He's sending business to them, and to him, they're a partner, because you don't really expect your plumber to necessarily send business to you, but they allow you to add value. So, is again, we mentioned the last role is advocate. Advocates are actually the people who will promote you publicly. These are the people who stand up and say, "Man, Pablo is a great speaker. You absolutely must bring him into your next event," right? So this is the role of an advocate. These are the people who actually send referrals to you. So in the plumber example, the plumber to Pablo in his network is a partner. From the plumber's point of view, Pablo is an advocate because he's sending business to them, right? And I was the beneficiary on all of that. So these are the roles that we have. We've got mentors and advisors, mentees, customers, partners, and advocates. So how does this all shape out in your 100 to 150 people? Well, I'll tell you what, the largest group of people, probably 2/3 of that group, is going to be your partners, people who solve problems that you don't solve. Mentors and mentees, that's a very small number of people. Your customers are probably going to be about 1/4 of your overall network. So probably maybe 25, 30 people, somewhere around there, are going to be your customers. These are the people who you're going to keep contact with because it's repeat business or it's referrals from them. And then you've got your advocates. Now, advocates, out of your 100 to 150 people, it may be 6, 10, 12 people, or 15 people if you're lucky. It's going to be a smaller number of people. But these are the folks who are actually sending referrals your way. So when you have that active network and it's 100 to 150 people, you don't have 150 people are sending referrals to you. You are sending, oh, there we go. The speaker was turning off. So you've got a small number of people, maybe 10, 12, 15 people who actually send referrals to you. Those are your advocates. So, all right. As we're going, and I've got some time here, we got 31 minutes in. I want to talk about networking events because A lot of people hate networking events. You could be like a client of mine. Man, he was an engineer's engineer right in the heart of Silicon Valley. And I remember him telling me, Scott, every time I go to a networking event, as soon as I walk in, the first thing I think about is how long do I have to stay before it's rude for me to leave. He hated networking. And as we said, in traditional advertising and traditional marketing and digital marketing, there's funnels and customer paths, and there's all this structure that's set up, but nobody has any structure. They say, go to events. Okay. So you go to networking events and you hand out business cards and you get cards and then you get connected up on LinkedIn. But what's the process? What do you actually do? Well, now we know that we're going from our extended network to our active network. And when I go to a networking event, I am going there with a purpose. Now, I may meet people and get connected up with people who all they do is they go into my extended network. So I was just down in Nashville at the National Association of Music Merchants Conference, first conference that I've been to since the Toy Fair last February in 2020. And so I was at my first large-scale conference a couple of weeks ago. And I met a lot of people, and most of those people that I connected up with and sent emails to, and we got connected up on LinkedIn and so forth, they're just going to move into my extended network. A few of them may move into my active network. Now, if I've looked at the active network, I'm going to identify areas that I need. I might need a specific advisor. Maybe I'm looking at getting into a new line of business. Right now, let's say membership sites. Membership sites are fabulous. So maybe I need to get a mentor that's going to help me understand that space, right? So I might be looking for a specific mentor, might be looking for a mentee. It's okay, by the way, to go to networking events and look for customers. Nothing wrong with that. I know that some of the advice is out there is like, don't try to close it. If you find somebody that you can solve their problem, let them give you money for it. No problem with that. You might be looking for advocates, but it's kind of not really the place to do it. But really, you're going to look for partners. You're going to find people who solve problems that you don't solve. You're going to add those people into your network. Maybe you say, you know what, I've got a WordPress guy, but I don't know anybody that knows non-WordPress sites, maybe a Drupal site or something like that. So I'm looking for some web development techniques, or I'm looking for a graphic artist to be able to throw into my network, because I got people that are asking me, hey, do you know any graphic artists? So I'm going to add those in. Now I'm going to my networking event with a purpose, because most of the time when we go to networking events, we just think it's going to be like 2 hours of bad hors d'oeuvres and high pressure sales and overeager people trying to shove cards and things into my hand without understanding me at all. All right. So here is what you need to do to be successful at business networking events. All right. So first of all, prepare for the event. Understand, what are you looking for? Are you just going to add to your extended network? Do you need to fill in specific roles within your active network? So, and it could be that you're looking to connect with a very specific person. Do your research, find out who they are, read their books, read their blogs, listen to their podcasts, find out who they are, get some information, and then go find them and approach them. All right. Next thing. Remember, you are remarkable. I walked into San Diego social media marketing world. Man, there's all these great people there. There's 5,000 people there. And look, they're all in little groups and together, and they're all talking with each other like they know each other. And they're all like, hey, there's Mari Smith. Oh, there's Kim Garson. There's all these great people in social media. And I think, who am I? I'll tell you what, if you walked into that event, that trade show, that conference, that networking event, you're there because you have something to offer. You have value to add. You solve people's problems. So remember, you are absolutely remarkable. And I'm going to tell you that body language is not important. Body language can be faked. Just because somebody has their arms crossed doesn't mean they don't want to talk to you. It just means it's comfortable for them. Maybe they're cold. It doesn't matter. Body language is not important. But I will tell you something that is important, and that's emotional intelligence. That is so important, because body language is cultural, but emotional intelligence, especially the micro expressions, the 7 micro expressions, you'll have to find that at another time. Those are gender neutral, culture neutral, age neutral. It doesn't matter. They're the same for every human. And so your emotional intelligence is absolutely important. Body language, I don't really care. And also ditch the pitch. I am not a fan of the elevator pitch. Man, that is just like those automated responders on LinkedIn or any other platform that's out there. When somebody asks you what you do and you just like practice, you've got this thing practice and well rehearsed and wordsmith, and you don't know anything about them. Don't do that. Find out about them. Find out how it fits in. Find out what role they might play in your network and speak to them. But absolutely know what problem you solve and who your ideal customer is, and you can talk about that stuff. All right. And I'm going to tell you, be a motivational listener. Let that person feel better about themselves after having talked with you than before you approach them. So it does involve active listening. So what's the difference? Motivational listening, active listening. People say, Scott, isn't motivational listener just being an active listener? Well, there are skills, right? And you want to employ these. Be part of the conversation. Be present. Use eye contact, the body language and stuff. Now, I'm not saying that it's not unimportant. I'm just telling you it's cultural. But respond, don't react. Responding is rational. Reacting is emotional. So control your emotions. That's part of emotional intelligence. And remember, when you're having a conversation with somebody and you're trying to get to know them, it's not a debate. You're just trying to get to know them. Now, the difference with being a motivational listener is that you are guiding the conversation. When you're an active listener, even though it says active listening, you're really being passive. You're just letting them go and you're acknowledging what they say and you're repeating back to what they say. They're paraphrasing back. Oh, this is what I think you said. And they clarify it and you continue that conversation, but they're driving it. As a motivational listener, you direct the conversation in such a way that you let them know that they are absolutely remarkable. So this is what you do when you connect, and we're going to be winding down here, when you connect at networking events. So here's the deal. Your brain is amazing. It can process billions of bits of information, right? It was something like what would take a brain a few minutes or a moment to process would take like 45 minutes for the best supercomputer. Anyway, there's some math about that. But the deal is your brain processes a lot faster than even I'm talking right now. You're still able to think about dinner, where you're going this weekend, what you want to do for vacation, what's going on, where you've been, all these things. You can think about all this stuff because we daydream between 30 and 50% of our waking hours. So in a 40-minute presentation, you've all been daydreaming for 20 minutes of it. I've been daydreaming for 20 minutes of it, and I've been doing the talking. It's because our brains process so fast. Here's the deal. There's a part of your brain that sits right behind the eyeballs called the orbital frontal cortex, and is the error detection part of your brain. Now, you've all driven the car. You know what to do. You don't have to think about where you put the key and do I turn it left or right to start. You hop in, you go, you get driving, you go from one destination to the next, and you think, you know what? There was a 4-way stop, and I'm pretty sure I stopped there, but I don't remember. It's because you're able to process all this stuff amazingly fast. But if you're driving down the road and a squirrel runs out in front of you, orbital frontal cortex kicks in. It is the error detection part of your brain. It says this is not right, and you can't daydream. It focuses all of your brain, all of your attention onto that moment, so you don't squish the squirrel, so you don't hit the parked car, so you don't run into the oncoming traffic. Your brain, the orbital frontal cortex, focuses your brain. Now, when you go to a networking event, if you ask people expected questions, you will not activate that part of the brain, the OFC, orbital frontal cortex. But if you ask them an unexpected question, you will activate that part. So if I go in and I see somebody, I see Andrew there, and it's like, oh, hi, enjoying the conference. He's still daydreaming and getting his snacks and whatever. But if you ask an unexpected question, then this is the question that I give you. You have full access to use this question. And I encourage you, the next time you go to a checkout stand, use this question, because the cashier is going to ask you expected questions. Did you find everything you're looking for? How's your day? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm daydreaming. I'm thinking about where I'm going, what I'm doing. I'm answering your questions. I'm fully interacting with you. Then you ask them this question. How's your world? They have to interpret that. They're like, how is my world this checkout stand? Is it the store? Is it my job? Is it my place in the cosmos? They're going to have to interpret that question. So just as an example, my family and I we're on vacation. We love going down to the Running Y. That's a resort down in Southern Oregon in Klamath Falls. Great rec center. We go over to the rec center. There's the person behind the counter handing out the towels. Are you enjoying your stay at the Running Y? Yes, I am. Thanks for the towel. I'm going in. So I asked her, how's your world? This is day one. We come in. She hands me the towel. Are you enjoying your stay? Yes, I am. How's your world? She interprets that. And she tells me, they're closing on a house that week. Her and her husband, they've been living in Klamath Falls for 3 years. He's a contractor. They finally found the place. They're going to move in. They're closing. They're going to move in. She's really excited. Now, for the rest of the week that we had that we're there, where she's handing out the towels, it's not just, here's your towel, you're enjoying your stay. We connected, right? This is the power of that, because what happens when I ask that question, it focused her brain from daydreaming into that moment. And here's the beautiful part when it comes to networking. When you activate the OFC, it is also responsible for facial and vocal recognition. So when you meet somebody and you ask them, how's your world? You focus their brain, you imprint your face and your voice on their brain. Fabulous, right? And so take their brain, take them on a conversational journey. Take back. What do you do? How did you get involved in this? What do you like about it? You're taking them on a journey. And what it does is it reminds them, because they weren't born knowing what they know. They had to go through a long journey, paid classes, hard work, trial and error. Man, you remind them what it was. And then you're going to summarize all of that and go, my word, the people who work with you must be so happy, must be thrilled, because you solved their problem. This is the problem you solve. And you repeat back to them, and you give them a mirror, and you show them how remarkable they are. And you say, you are absolutely remarkable. You are connecting with that person. Now, use your emotional intelligence. We don't have time to talk about a lot of that, but use your emotional intelligence when you are connecting with people. And then differentiate between result and motivation. Now, when you ask somebody, what do you do? And they say, well, I'm a CPA. That is a result. That is not their motivation. And the easiest example is the peanut butter sandwich. If you walk into the kitchen and I've got bread and peanut butter and jelly and a knife, and I'm putting the peanut butter on the bread and I'm putting the jelly on and I'm putting it together, it's like, wow, Scott's a sandwich maker. That's what he is. That's a result. The motivation is, I'm hungry. So when he says, she says, that person is a CPA, that is a result. Find out what that motivation is. What is it? The logic, the order that they create. Differentiate between result and motivation. Then follow up with permission. To close with permission to follow up with them. So those are really the keys about business networking. And I do have the book, Motivational Listener. Be interesting by being interested. It is a practical guide. It has all the steps. The first half of that publication gives you the brain science behind how we connect. And then it gives you the actual steps that you need to connect. The newest publication is a very short one. I'm calling it a publication, not a book. Relationships Grow Your Business. It gives you all the details here. And in there, there's free training. And we'll talk a little bit about this. It actually takes you through on how to download your contacts, and so you can sort them down to find out who's in your active network and then assign the roles to them. That's free. That book, by the way, is on Amazon. It's 99 cents. But here's the trick. If you do the preview of the book, the link to that training is right there. You don't even need to you don't even need to spend the 99 cents. So that's a trick that I put in. Let's connect. There is all of my stuff. LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Clubhouse is now open to everybody. You don't need an invite, and they have an Android app for those of us who are not native Apple people. And my contact and website. And with that, Pablo and Jeremy, thank you. Whew, I talk fast. I'm going to stop sharing. All right.
All right. It took me longer to get back on screen when I had hid myself. Scott, that was awesome, man. The number one, I'm gonna just go in reverse order. The fact that you have $1 book and then you told people the tricks so you don't even have to pay the dollar. You basically bought them a McChicken. That's phenomenal, man. You are remarkable. The way that you know the breakdown of nurturing different types of your network, I thought that was phenomenal. The ask unexpected questions, I took a lot out of that, Scott. So, and I took a lot out of the idea of acknowledging you, man. That was really, really well done. You are remarkable. And I know you have I also took, so Andrew put a really great quote in the chat, and he puts a quote he likes is, "You know you're doing networking right when no matter what event you go to, you know everyone there." I thought that was really
awesome.
good, right? Like you're definitely a networker over there. And Scott, you got an exercise that you want to walk people through?
Yeah, so as we talked about these 5 roles, right? We talked about advisors, mentees, customers, advocates, and partners. And the one is that as I really want people to think about this is because you're advocates. These are the people who are sending business to you. They stand up publicly for you. And you will hear and read that to be an effective networker, you should be reaching out to say 3 to 5 people every day. Well, who are you reaching out to? Well, I tell you, you better be reaching out to your advocates. So the question that I would like people to contemplate and maybe share about is, who is giving you referrals right now? Who are your advocates? Because tomorrow, I'm hoping that if you haven't contacted those people today or earlier this week, that tomorrow you reach out to your advocates. And first of all, just say thanks. I mean, it's all about gratitude, right? I mean, oh my gosh, these are the people who put food, as they say, put beans on the bowl. So who are your advocates? That's what I want to hear.
Great. So everybody take 2-3 minutes, think about who has referred you business, who are your advocates, write it down. I would love to have somebody come up and share a story of an advocate of theirs, of somebody that came to mind of an advocate. So raise your hand. We'd love to bring you up on screen. Scott, I got a couple questions for you. One is, did you ever, that quote by Andrew, you know what you're doing when you're in the right room, you're doing networking right when no matter what event you go to, you know everyone there. When was the first time that you felt the feeling of like, oh my God, I know everybody in every single room?
It's I don't know. That's a big ask, right? To know everybody, but to feel comfortable. I'll say that you can go to a networking event and feel comfortable. And I had the benefit that my mother was really involved in the community when I was growing up in high school, and I was going to events and I watched people who seemed to be like these natural networkers and connecting. And so those are the people that I really looked to. And so that it was probably fairly early on in my career when I could go into an event and not know one person and feel comfortable. So you may not know everybody, but if you feel comfortable, and here's the science that's really interesting. They say attractive people are more successful. And I was like, rats. But the science also says that confident people are more attractive. All right. So I remember my basic algebra, A equals B, B equals C. Confident people are more successful. So this is what I'm saying. When you walk in, know that you have something to offer, not to everybody, but there is somebody that you will solve their problem, and they will be so grateful that they met you. Give yourself the chance and give yourself the confidence, and you'll be more successful.
That's great feedback, man. You're right. Everybody has value. So walk in there knowing that you got that, right? Second question, Scott, what is, and feel free to finish your water. Don't worry about that. Who are your biggest advocates, right? Like, do you have like a list of people that are your advocates? Mm-hmm. You keep that conscious?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, my number one advocate is Stephen Hodges. We met when we were both volunteering with Young Entrepreneurs Business Week, and I know that was in the summer of 2017 because that's when the eclipse was going by, and I was selling these. We had made eclipse glasses. We did pint glasses because we're in the Northwest, and everyone was doing the look at the sunglasses. We said, yeah, we're doing pints because Northwest. So anyway, and we met, and it was a Young Entrepreneurs Business Week, which is business camp for high school students, and we're both mentoring groups through that. And so we just kind of had a common interest. I gave him a ride home. As we're talking, I find out what he's involved in. Oh, he's doing websites. And then sure enough, I had somebody that needed a website. So I go, I know somebody who can help you. And he did. And pretty soon he's going like, oh, we need somebody to do digital advertising. And he sent them my way. And we've been doing business together. And in fact, last year, we started doing virtual conferences together, and doing fundraisers, benefits, doing stuff for the university, for the Sea Grant organization, all because we had something in common and spent time together, built a relationship. And then there's some other folks, but that's the best story that I have.
Yeah, that's great. Having something in common and spending time together. There's really nothing that rivals that. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. I would love anybody that has, as you were listening, did you come up with some advocates? I would love it if Sam or Andrew or who else is in here? Barry, Phyllis, if you want to raise your hand, if you've thought of an advocate of yours, we'd love to kind of hear that story upon reflection and seeing how it happened. I know that I've kind of backtraced. My biggest advocate right now is my buddy Jerry McNamara, who has legitimately referred me to big clients, and seems to always have me in mind and put me in the right situation of connecting people. And he was a guy that I interviewed for a job with, and he didn't hire me. Right. So
did you a favor?
Yeah, he did me a favor, man. Right. Like he was running this like mastermind group called 12 Mavens, and they needed a national sales director. And I went in, and he was kind of like, I don't really think, I don't think that you're just a sales guy. Like you're something else. And I kept up with him, right? Like, even though he turned me down, I kept up with him, and now he's become like a really crucial part of my network. So,
and one of the things I want to talk about with the advocates too is that the advocates send referrals to you, right? And you're their partner. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're sending referrals back to that person. It can be, but they're doing it because they believe you. They know that you solve people's problems, and they're adding value into your network by that referral. So we don't have to feel obligated that because somebody sent a referral to you that you, oh gosh, I've got to find something to give to them. If you do it legitimately, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really good call. Like, acknowledge your self-worth, right? Like they're doing it selfishly too. They know that they look good by referring you, right? So pay it forward, think of other people, but you don't have to feel indebted, per se, right? That's a good call. Right. Well, yeah. I guess nobody's really raising their hands. So Scott, I think I got two last questions to kind of wrap this up with you. I would love to hear what your experience has been at the AIT, kind of like what keeps you coming back, man. I've seen you here every single event. You're always adding value. What keeps you coming back, and how'd you join?
I believe that it was Jim Fuse that recommended me to check out Jeremy and the AIT before it was formalized. And any of you who follow Jim Rohn, the consultant Jim Rohn, he's the one that says we are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And so they said, if you spend time, they said, if you spend time with 5 tigers, you're going to be the 6th. If you spend time with 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th. So if you spend time with 6 entrepreneurs, says they're going to hound you until you come up with that. And so absolutely, I'm here because I want to be better. I want to hang out with people that know more than I do. I always like software that is better than me. I want tools that are better than me. I have this digital camera. I can guarantee you this is better than me. It does more than I'm capable of doing. But it never holds me back. And so when I'm here, oh my gosh, I'm hearing these ideas from people and it pulls me up. Everything pulls and I'm pushing them up. So we all go up to bed together. And so I'm a part of AIT because that's what's going to happen. I want to be better than I am. I want to reach my potential, and I won't do it by just binge watching Netflix, right?
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. All right, then final question before we go back to networking, Scott. What is something that you're truly inspired by? Share with us some inspiration in your life.
As I mentioned, it's not about making money. It's about living a life that makes a difference. And so when I was at NAMM last week, the music conference, so I sat down at this table to have lunch, and I was at that table. I had a sandwich, and I was there for an hour and a half because people come and we started this conversation, and they'd leave, and the next person, and I met some remarkable people. And you start having these conversations, and one guy, we sat down, and I mean, the guy's sitting down to have lunch. I'm sitting down. We're just drinking some water, eating our sandwich, and we're just kind of talking about, what would you talk about? Oh, what products are you doing? How's the show going for you? Here's what happened. When that guy ends up tearing up, his eyes are red because right at the beginning of the pandemic, he got COVID and was very sick. He believes that he probably gave it to his mother unknowingly. He didn't know. She died. His best friend died. His dog died. His business tanked during the thing. This guy's just pouring it out to me, right? And I'm saying this is not the inspirational thing, but I'm just saying that he needed somebody to talk to. And then I went over to his booth, and man, we had a great conversation, and we're looking at his products, and I've got some recommendations to people to buy his stuff. But the conversation that followed up with that was this 14-year-old girl and her father. She is a phenomenal musician, singer, and we're going to end up doing some business together. But she was talking about giving a conference or a concert, and there was this little girl that was like come right up near the front, and she's like maybe 7 years old. And so this 14-year-old girl called her up and talked to her and said, "Hey, I'm taking a break. Why don't you come back with me? We'll practice a song and we'll come out and you can do it." And so they went back and they worked on the song. When they went back, her grandparents, I mean, the tears are rolling down her face down their faces, because that little girl, her father died of an overdose of drugs. Her mother was addicted to heroin and meth and all this stuff, right? And so she got placed with her grandparents. Well, it was the wrong set of grandparents. The grandfather was abusing her. She got pulled out and placed with the other grandparents. This little 7-year-old girl had no self-esteem, no confidence. I mean, she had a horrible life up to that moment. And when this singer, this 14-year-old girl, took her back, and then they came out on stage, and sure enough, she had to give her a little bit more encouragement, but they sang a song together and boosted her confidence. And it was all because people took an opportunity to use the skill that they have to give to somebody else without the expectation of money. When I heard that, somebody asked me, what was the highlight of NAMM? That's the story I tell. It's not the business that we're doing. It's not the number of sales. It's not the contacts that I got. It was the story of Ruby Lee and that little girl.
Love it, man. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Scott. Great presentation. Thanks a lot. Now we're going to open it back up to networking, and we'll leave the room open as long as people are around. Go make a new friend. See y'all next month.